Hello. Once again, it is I, the Bruce Wayne of Azure Lane, OG investigator, back at it again with another Azure Lane video. Now, this list was almost as hard to make as the light cruiser list, although that was still the hardest. But now we are on top 10 battleships. And just like before, you can't just be good at one particular thing. You got to be good at all the content of the game. PvP, the main campaign, events, everything, and be balanced and good at it. So here we go. Without further ado, the number 10 battleship, Battleship Howe. So if you look at Howe, she is a King George class, which means she has good health, good firepower. I would say she's basically, the King Georges have some very pretty well-rounded stats overall. The thing is, they aren't quite top-notch AA, but I mean, that's what can you do about that single flaw? In any case, they also tend to have high luck, which is very nice. King Georges were very active during World War II, so that's a plus. Anyway, you go to her first skill. Synchronized strike. Every 15 seconds after the battle starts, fires a level 10 special barrage at a random enemy and increases the reload and accuracy of all battleships, battlecruisers, and aviation battleships in your fleet by 20% for 8 seconds. Now, battleships are very thirsty for accuracy boosts. So if you look at their accuracy, it is always, I would say it's their main weakness. So always search out accuracy boosts for battleships. But she gives basically the perfect boost to battleships that they need. And she does it consistently across the board. So her second skill, when entering combat, increases own firepower and reload by 12% until the end of the battle. That's also very good. If sortied with another King George V class ship, Monarch, or any other Royal Navy ships, increase own firepower and AA stats by an additional 12% until the end of the battle. So she has a nice AA boosting skill for herself. But on top of that, very good guns. Good, secondary guns as well. So she is a well-rounded choice, ideally suited for teaming up with other battleships. But that is still a very good skill to boost your battleships. Howe, number 10, everybody. Now, moving on to number 9, HMS Hood. Now, Hood is only in this spot because her augment is quite possibly the most powerful augment ever added to a ship in the game, and it makes a huge difference. So she also has astoundingly high, she has very high health for a battleship, or a battle cruiser technically. That's good. Her firepower is somewhat behind most battleships, but the thing is, she has very good gun efficiency, and her skill is very important because it can boost carriers or battleships. So you go to her skill after the augment module, Royal Navy's Glory Plus. When this ship fires her main guns, 100% chance to fire an improved forward-facing special barrage and increase your main fleet's reload by 40% for 8 seconds. Now, if you go to her barrage, it looks like this, but this barrage hits damn near everything on the screen, and it covers a huge area, and it does ridiculously high amounts of damage collectively. So she will spray the whole map with a very powerful barrage, and then on top of that, she boosts the reload of not only your carriers but also your battleships. So ideally, she should be sorted in the flagship position. to maximize the use of her barrage. But since she got her augment, she is top notch now. Yeah, she's back in the game. She fell behind the power curve, and that augment brought her right back up. So, good on you, Hood. Highly recommended. Now, number 8, Monarch. Now, if you go over to Monarch, she is, I would say, she's always been one of the best PR battleships to level up when you're just starting out. Very good health, very good firepower, and same thing as the King George V classes, slightly lackluster anti-air. But you go to her skills, and this is where she shines. So, Monarch's Coercion. When firing the main gun, 70% chance to fire a special barrage. Enemies hit by the barrage have their movement speed decreased by 40% for 6 seconds. That is one of the best slows in the game. So she has, and it's at 70%, it's not always reliable, but it's still one of the best slows in the game. And if you want to see her barrage, it looks like this. So again, covers a large area, highly effective barrage. And then her second skill, Fate Simulation against the current plus. Increases own reload by 1 for every 1% loss in her HP. Additionally, when HP is 20% or less, heals 3% max HP every 2 seconds for 11 seconds. This effect only occurs once per battle. So she has a zombie skill to boost her own survivability on top of that. But that slow is excellent support for the rest of your fleet. So that slow, she supports the whole fleet, and then she boosts her own survivability by a large margin. So that's no joke. Monarch, still one of the best battleships, bar none. Actually, technically not bar none, because there's more on this list, but you'll see. Number 7, Marco Polo. Now, if you go to Marco Polo, she used to be just okay because her skill required a Sardinia Empire ship. But once she got Fate Simulation now, she can use her skill without having to be sorted with the Sardinia Empire ship. So you go to her health. Very good. In the same class as Hood. Very high firepower. Lackluster AA. But also, I would say she has she basically has some of the best well-rounded stats. It's just the AA is missing. That's with a lot of battleships except for the Eagle Union ones. But you go to her skills, Legendary Voyage. When this ship has the out of ammo debuff, decreases the damage penalty's effect by 15%. When this ship fires her main guns, 75% chance to fire a frontal barrage. If this barrier fails to activate, heals this ship for 5% of her max HP. So that's a solid heal for herself, but her second skill is the most important. Fate Simulation 2, or 2 Meloni. If I butcher Italian, I am sorry. If there is at least one other ship in the main fleet, decreases this ship's damage taken by 20%, and increases her main gun efficiency by 15%, and AA gun efficiency by 50%. At the start of the battle, spawns 2 shields around the frontmost ship of your Vanguard that can block 3 enemy torpedoes each. Improves the barrage fired by this ship's Legendary Voyage skill if the ship is sorted as the flagship. Increase the barrage's activation chance by 10%. If this ship is not sorted as the flagship, increase the amount of max HP healed by Legendary Voyage to 8%. That's a lot of utility. That's a long-ass skill to read, too, by the way. But she is, she gets a nice self-tanky skill with that 20% damage reduction. And then she boosts, or she gives a nice shield to your Vanguard. This is a very good skill for defense in every regard. For your whole fleet, really, but mainly herself. Then her other skill, Untold Tales. During a sortie, whenever the fleet this ship is in sinks an enemy fleet, increase this ship's AA and EVA by 5%, can be stacked up to 3 times. While this ship is afloat, the following effects are applied to the fleet this ship is not in. For the first and second battle, launches a supporting barrage 20 seconds after battle starts. For the third and fourth battle, decrease damage taken by 8% for all Sardinia Empire ships in that fleet. So she basically offers a nice cross-fleet buff. It's more applicable to Sardinia Empire ships, but it's still a nice sort of cross-fleet buff. And then she has Siren Killer. But did I mention, so AA and EVA, 2 things battleships desperately need. Did I mention she was tanky? So Marco Polo is a seriously strong and highly versatile battleship. Highly recommended. Next battleship on the list, number 6. I believe this is pronounced Gascogne, because there's a French city that has the same name, and I'm pretty sure it's the same. But Gascogne. So if you go to her HP, it's actually just a tinge bit lower. A tiny tinge bit lower. But she has very good firepower for a battleship. Again, same thing as the others. Lackluster AA. But you go to her skills, and so Fate Simulation, Emotion Inhibition Module Plus. At the start of the battle, if this ship's HP is greater than 50%, increases this ship's AA by 12%. So that fixes the AA problem. And improves this ship's Precision Salvo Protocol Barrage. Additionally, when this ship's HP falls below 50% for 8 seconds, increases this ship's EVA by 30% and restores a total of 8% of its max HP. That is a very good self-survivability buffing skill. So for battleships, all battleships have very low EVA. So if you want to increase their survivability, they would benefit greatly much more from an EVA boost than in a lot of cases a health or an AA boost. Unless it's like an insane amount of aircraft, then that's different. But so she increases the protocol barrage, or her Precision Salvo Protocol Barrage. So this is her next skill. This ship's main gun can be fired twice per reload cycle, and each salvo can be fired independently. This ship's damage bonus with manually aimed salvos becomes 40%. That's actually very good. Every 20 seconds after the battle starts, 100% chance to fire a special barrage. And this is a solid barrage. So if you want to see the enhanced barrage, check this out. So it's basically firing the French flag over, but it's a pretty powerful barrage. I think HMS Hood's barrage outperforms it just a tiny bit, but it's still a solid, good barrage. And then on top of that, keep in mind she does have main gun mount +1, but she has also a +2 DD or CL gun. Her secondary gun is +2, and that's excellent protection for your back line. So highly versatile, powerful battleship right here, and highly survivable. Gascogne, everybody. So you scroll up and you get to number 5. Ulrich von Hutten. So you come to Ulrich von Hutten, and she is the first of the UR battleships. And as such, she has incredibly high health. 9,700. That's a whole leap ahead of every other ship on this list so far. A very, very good firepower. And lackluster AA. Same thing as the others. But here's the gimmick. She has main gun mount +2, and she has a DD gun +2. So, or secondary gun +2. So she can mount CL or DD guns. But that is very good. Then you go down to her skills. The Laurel of Prosody. When this ship fires her main guns, 100% chance to fire a special barrage. Enemies hit by this barrage decrease speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Whenever an enemy gets within close proximity of this ship, fire a special barrage. The proximity barrage has a 15-second cooldown between activations. So in her first skill, she gets 2 barrages, and one of them adds a slow. That is extremely useful for the whole fleet in any situation. In Ridicule of Fools is her next skill. Increase this ship's firepower and reload by 15%. When this ship equips a main gun that uses HE ammo, increases this ship's armor modifier against light and medium armor by 15%. If this ship is not the flagship, decrease this ship's main gun cooldown by 50%, but decrease its main gun damage dealt by 45%. See, I don't know how I feel about that skill because now she absolutely needs the flagship position. And then I wouldn't say is kind of fixed into using an HE gun, but it is kind of beneficial to use an HE gun. She doesn't have a buff for AP guns, though. But I would say that's a very good skill in general. And then the next skill, Revolutionary's Prosiac. Increase this ship's critical modifier by 20%. As long as this ship is afloat, whenever another fleet engages in one of its first 5 battles this sortie, decrease damage taken by all Iron Blood ships in that fleet by 5%. Increase the critical modifier of all Iron Blood ships in that fleet by 10%. During that battle, whenever an enemy gets within close range of your ships, fire a supporting barrage. The barrage may fire up to 6 times each battle and has a 5-second cooldown between activations. So she is very great for buffing Iron Blood ships in another fleet. But her own stats for whatever fleet she is fighting in are also very good and very versatile. Very strong battleship. I would highly recommend if you get Ulrich von Hutten to raise her. Number 4, Musashi. I did not know this until she was released, by the way, but did you know that Musashi is literally named after Miyamoto Musashi, like Japan's most famous samurai? I did not know that, and I was happy to learn that. Anyway, Musashi. This is one of the highest levels of health ever released. 11,000. That is, I think that's the highest yet. That is the highest about, the health is ridiculous here. But, and the firepower is also ridiculously high. Exactly what you would expect of a Yamato class battleship. But, she has somewhat even less AA than all the other battleships. But all the other battleships on this list anyway. But I mean, I guess that's because she was taken out by aircraft. I mean, at least they're historically accurate. So, Musashi, she also has main gun mount +2 and a secondary gun +2. Excellent for defense. And then you go to her skills. Violet Lightning Storm. When this ship fires her main guns, 100% chance to fire a special barrage. If this ship has a Sakura Empire main gun equipped, this barrage is improved. This special barrage has a 50% increased crit rate, and the lightning bolts from this barrage inflict a special armor break ailment to enemies hit, increasing their damage taken by 5% for 8 seconds. If the enemy hit has heavy armor, the armor break ailment is increased to 10% instead. So, she deals out an astounding amount of damage, even by battleship standards. She is, I would say this does limit her to a Sakura Empire main gun. That is kind of a slight drawback because the Musashi guns, or I would say the Yamato guns, reload is the slowest ever. It is a slug gun. Like, yeah, that reload, you could go back, watch a movie, and then the gun will most still not be reloaded yet. But the thing is, you could fit her with another Sakura Empire gun, and you could still get the same skill to activate as it should. It's just it's not as high damage performance as the Yamato gun. Anyway, her next skill, Tempestuous Blade. I probably butchered that. If I butchered that, don't judge me. Increases this ship's firepower by 20% and accuracy by 5%. If this ship has a Sakura Empire gear equipped, increases this ship's reload by 10% and main gun crit damage by 15%. That is another high damage boosting skill. And keep in mind, battleships absolutely need accuracy. So that accuracy buff is incredibly crucial. But so it's a double damage buffing skill. Man. Then you go to her third skill, Musashi's Guardianship. When the battle starts, if this ship is not your flagship or your airspace control status is not air incapability or air denial, reduces this ship's damage taken by 30% in that battle. If this ship is afloat, when a fleet this ship is not in enters a battle, fires a special or supporting barrage 15 seconds and 35 seconds after the battle starts. And then non-exercise only specific skill. While the ship is above 40% HP, grants the Musashi's Guardianship status to all your other main fleet ships. Ships with this status no longer take ramming damage. Dang. Force Musashi to become detected as well if they become detected. Cause Musashi to be prioritized by enemy attacks if they are both valid targets. So she will tank for the rest of your fleet and absorb most of the damage. So that is an incredibly useful skill. I can't help but wonder if the whole if your flat airspace control status is not air incapability or air denial part of this skill, I can't help but wonder if that actually has to do with historically how she was taken out, because she was supposed to have aircraft cover, and she ended up not having it, and that's how the aircraft pounced on her and killed her in real life. So, interesting mention of that skill. But yeah, Musashi, ladies and gentlemen, a highly, highly useful and powerful battleship. Maybe the highest damage dealer out of all the battleships. Highly recommended. All right, now number 3, FDG. So you go to FDG, and she has stupid high health, not as high as Musashi, but approaching her level. High firepower and lackluster AA. But she also, by the way, has main gun mount +2 and secondary gun +2. Excellent defense for your back line. And then you go to her skills, which she got when her fate simulation was released, she got a like a small leap ahead. It's not like a full step ahead of the rest of the competition, but the fate simulation is pretty good. So, fate simulation, Symphony of Destruction. When this ship takes damage or when an enemy comes within close range of this ship, fires a special barrage, Eins. I'm not sure if this is the name of the barrage, Eins, or if that's an error, maybe. Anyway, 15-second cooldown between activations. When this ship fires her main guns, fires a special barrage, Zwei, and these barrages always fire from your flagship position, even if she's not in the flagship position. That's a very good skill. So you don't need to sortie her as a flagship now. Sonata of Chaos. Actually, she probably benefits more from flagship anyway. Sonata of Chaos. Every odd salvo increases own reload by 50% and damage by 20% until the next salvo is fired. Every even salvo increases critical rate by 20% and critical damage by 50% until the next salvo is fired. So those are actually very good. Yeah, either one of those is very good. So no matter what, whenever she fires, she gets a nice self buff that is highly effective. And she deals out astounding amounts of damage, and she's reliable for dealing that out. So next skill, Rhapsody of Darkness. I like how Rhapsody is spelled as the... Okay, but I know they put that as a pun, and I like that. Increases this ship's firepower by 20% and decreases her damage taken by 20%. Once per battle, when this ship's HP falls below 30%. As a result of damage taken, increases this ship's secondary gun shell velocity by 15% and increases her secondary gun efficiency by 30%. So she is one of, if you want to make your backline tanky and well defended, she is one of the top-notch ships for doing that. But on top of that, she has very reliable, high damage dealing skills here. This is very good. So, highly reliable battleship, guaranteed high damage dealer, highly tanky. FDG, she fell a little bit behind, but her fate simulation brought her right back up. Mad respect for FDG. Okay, next on the list. Number 2, New Jersey. I feel so much, just pulls my Patriot strings. Go New Jersey. This is the battleship I personally use the most. Anyway, she has very high health. She does not beat out FDG, and she does not beat out Musashi, but she's good enough to be comparable to them. But a very, very high health, very, very high firepower, and she is the first ship on this list to have, surprisingly good anti-air, which is American ships there in World War II. Near the end, we started putting a whole bunch of anti-air on our ships, so this is historically accurate. But the fact that she doesn't need an anti-air support is a big deal. So you go down to her skills. By the way, she also has, main gun mount +2 and secondary gun +2, but she can only use DD guns, which is nice because they just released a battleship-specific DD gun that now she can utilize to great effect. So now you get over here to her skills. Dragon's Breath. When this ship fires its main guns, 100% chance to fire special barrage with guaranteed critical hits. Additionally, 10 seconds after the start of the battle, fire this same barrage. The barrage pattern is independent of this ship's position in the main fleet. The barrage inflicts armor break to enemies hit. Armor break enemies take 5% more damage for 8 seconds. This armor break stacks with other sources of armor break. That is a very, very good barrage. So her barrage will basically do staggering amounts of damage and then debuff the enemy after impact. That is good. That is very good. And then next skill, freedom through firepower. Decrease the spread range of this ship's main guns by 5. That's incredibly good, by the way. Whenever another fleet in the same sortie engages in battle, if this ship is afloat, fire special barrage 20 seconds into the start of that battle. At the start of that battle, if that fleet's flagship is an Eagle Union ship, increase the AVI stat of all Eagle Union CVs and CVLs in that fleet by 15%. That's a solid cross-fleet buff. That's a very solid cross-fleet buff. And then decreasing the spread range of your main guns is important because if you have mainly triple guns, but any guns really, they are more concentrated on a single area. And if you're fighting a boss, that is very, very important. Plus, her gun is the triple HE gun, the Mark 7, and this helps her use it against bosses a lot better. Anyway, next skill. Don't you love it? Increases this ship's firepower by 15% and reload by 10%. If this ship is sorted with another Eagle Union ship, increase the AA stat by 15% for all your Eagle Union ships in your fleet. Decrease their damage taken by 5%. Increase the firepower stat by 10% for all Eagle Union BBs and BCs in your fleet, including this ship. The amount of utility that has in the game as a whole is immeasurable. Mainly because, so she makes all your Eagle Union ships, just a tiny bit tankier. And then she boosts all of their AA. The amount of utility that skill has, incredible. But on top of that, she herself is a very high damage dealer. And she's very tanky. And unlike the other battleships, she doesn't need an AA support because her own AA is good enough. So, New Jersey, one of the most versatile and very powerful battleships in the game. Highly recommended. And now for the honorable mentions, which this was also really hard to do because there's so many good battleships in the game. Anyway, I'll just start here because at the bottom there's so many good ones though, but I had to choose, and I think I got the best ones here. Champagne. So Champagne has one gun, but she fires it very fast, which is very good. And she has pretty good skills to her credit. The problem is she just lacks in survivability. So she is one of, out of all the, I would say, bigger battleships, she is one of the easiest ones to kill, which is kind of a tragedy. Sorry, Champagne. Next, and this is in no particular order, by the way, Duke of York, who is also a King George V class. She is very powerful in her own right, but her most important feature is that she has a very good and reliable slow. I just think in most cases that slow and her performance falls a little bit behind Monarch. So next one, Prince Ruprecht. She is a solid battle cruiser. She does actually fire torpedoes. And she also has quite a good set of skills on her own. I would just say she doesn't really outperform in terms of utility and usefulness in most situations any other ones I put on the top 10 list. Good solid battle cruiser choice though. Highly good choice. Next is Seydlitz, who is surprisingly one of the tankiest ships in one of the tankiest battle cruisers in the game so far. She has a nice zombie skill and she is tough to kill. And she has very good guns. So she deals a very solid amount of damage consistently. She does not have very good AA, which is sort of expected because she is a World War I ship. And I would say there's she, and even her best traits still fall behind the best top 10. But she is still a very solid all-around choice as long as you're not running into aircraft. Amagi. Amagi has a nice burn reduction that it makes your fleet very, I would say, very durable to HE ammo bursts, that's very, very useful. And she'll also protect your ships from rockets if you find rockets in PvP. Not that I would know anything about using rockets in PvP. But and she has a very good barrage herself. So her barrage does considerable damage. Amagi is not a bad choice in any circumstance. Next, Odin. So Odin is a very powerful battle cruiser. And Odin can take ridiculous amounts of punishment. She has this odd skill where she's put in the front of your flagship and she fires a lightning bolt. The lightning bolt is restricted to her position. And she also does release torpedoes, which is nice. She has some very nice niches. Odin is not a bad choice in any circumstance. Izumo. Izumo, now that I think about it, she pretty much fell behind the power curve of battleships. She was a solid battleship on her own individually, especially when the game was, especially when she was released. So early in the game, she started out good. She's still okay, but she fell behind. And then Georgia. Georgia is incredibly good against heavy armor because she has this special skill where she lobs these super heavy rounds very high up and then they come down. The main drawback to Georgia is that she does need some kind of slow to ensure that the rounds hit. So the rounds go up and then they're up there for too long before coming down. And the enemy is probably already moved out of position by then. So Georgia is very good, but she does need a slow to support her. Next is Warspite Retrofit. Speaking of falling behind the power curve, Warspite is now the first UR battleship to fall behind the power creep, which is actually kind of historically accurate because she is a World War I battleship. But now I would say she is only good as a niche against heavy armor bosses. But Warspite Retrofit, initially when she was first released, she was top notch. And then all these other battleships came out, and now she fell behind. Still usable against heavy armor, but she fell behind. So those are the battleship honorable mentions, people. And now I created a special list, a separate list of top tier battleship waifus, because none of my waifus are even close in performance to the honorable mentions or the top 10, but I wanted to give them some love anyway. So Giulio Cesare. So she's named after Julius Caesar, but she has some of the best legs in the game. I like Giulio Cesare a lot. I would just say excellent, excellent waifu material. Next, Arizona. No ship needed to be oathed more than Arizona. So highly, highly good waifu material. Yeah, y'all thought I was going to say something else, did you? Yeah. Very good waifu material, Arizona. Bismarck. Excellent waifu material. Excellent. She was made to rule the seas. Okay. And Sabaton is playing in my head right now. Gangit. Also, excellent waifu material. She may get a little too drunk at times because she is an alcoholic. But excellent waifu material. She's funny. She's the funniest battleship so far out of the Northern Parliament. I always like Gangit. And my favorite out of all the battleships, North Carolina, the toppest of top tier battleship waifu material. I did not know this, but apparently if you see the manga, North Carolina is a solid martial artist too, which is like the last thing I expected from her. But yeah, highly recommended waifu material. It's North Carolina. Anyway, now for the number one battleship in the game, period. Vanguard. Which, I don't know if this came as a surprise to you all, but one thing I have noticed is if you are sorting a fleet and you have New Jersey in that fleet, if you just switch out New Jersey for Vanguard, you will almost always get better performance. And on top of that, she is one of the other battleships that actually has good anti-air on her own and does not need an AA support, which is incredibly useful. So if you go to Vanguard skills, Glisten Light of Glory. When this ship finishes loading her main guns, 100% chance to fire a special barrage. Additionally, all enemies on screen take 8% increased damage from your battleships and battle cruisers for 6 seconds. That's a very good battleship supporting skill. Next, Scatter Minions of Darkness. Increase this ship's accuracy by 12%. That is no small accuracy buff. And reload by 20%. That is no small reload buff. During battle, enemies that have been afloat for at least 2 seconds take 10% more damage from your ships. As long as this ship is afloat when a fleet this ship is not in starts a battle, increases firepower by 10% for all Royal Navy Vanguard ships in that fleet. 30 seconds after the battle starts, fires a special barrage for 15 seconds, increases AA by 10% for all ships in that fleet. Those are some very good supporting skills, but this skill, it really buffs battleships right where she needs the buff the most, at least this battleship in particular. So she gets a nice accuracy buff, and that reload buff is very solid, but she also gives a nice damage debuff to all enemies if they just stay on the screen for 2 seconds. Well, I'll be damned. Behold my Royal Saber, her last skill. This ship's secondary guns are guaranteed to deal critical hits. If this ship has at least one Royal Navy gear equipped, increase this ship's AA gun efficiency by 30% and decrease your flagship's main gun spread by 2. When the battle starts, if there is at least one other Royal Navy ship in your fleet, decrease all your Royal Navy ships' damage taken from aircraft by 10%. Dang. So keep in mind, the best AA gun for battleships is the Stag Twin 40mm, and that is a Royal Navy gear. So she gives herself a further 30% AA gun efficiency with the best AA gun in the game for battleships. So AA is guaranteed to be good. And then on top of that, she decreases her own spread, so she's good against bosses. She's highly accurate against bosses. And then, she has all these little supporting skills that can benefit primarily Royal Navy ships, but even not Royal Navy ships can greatly benefit from these buffing skills. Yeah. And on top of all that, incredibly high health, around the same as New Jersey, and good firepower. Falls a little bit behind New Jersey, but still good enough that you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference. So, like I said, in most fleets, If you just switched out New Jersey for Vanguard, you would generally get better performance. And that's why she's more versatile, with the one exception being if your whole fleet is an Eagle Union fleet, then it would be better to sortie New Jersey with them. Vanguard, ladies and gentlemen. Highly recommended. Anyway, that is my top 10 for battleships, everybody. This is OG Investigator signing out. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. And farewell and following seas, my fellow Shikikons. Oh, by the way, I will be making a Discord. Heads up on that. Take care, everybody.